Yes, put him through, Gertrude, please. Kevin Sujihara. How are you, Kev? How are you doing? Sorry to hear about your employment issues. You've got an offer for me. You want to produce my channel and my videos. My videos are too long. What? They should only be 2 minutes long. Fuck off. Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here, and you are very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, let's talk. So I was on Twitter this morning and I saw this little video of James Cameron talking about he would watch any Ridley Scott movie, even if it flopped, because of the way he directs films. And he also said that he loves unique directors and the way they direct, even if he doesn't know who they are. Then he even mentioned Zack Snyder. Yes, James Cameron. Yeah, listen, all you haters. James Cameron, one of the great directors, loves Zack Snyder because quietly and secretly, everyone in Hollywood admires him, but it's difficult for him to get work because of the way he's perceived on the internet. Because these days, what people say on the internet is king. It's something that can make you or break you. Anyway, I thought I'd kind of speak about that really quickly, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Do you remember 2016? Do you? 2016 was the year we had Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and very quickly after that, we had Captain America: Civil War. Did you notice how similar they were? They were very similar films, wasn't they? One film was derided as a divisive load of rubbish, and one film was applauded for being a masterstroke. One film made $850 million at the box office, one cleared over $1 billion. What happened? How was Captain America: Civil War so similar to Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice? Suspicious, isn't it? Now let's go back some. I remember that Kevin Feige said that they weren't originally going to do Civil War, but when Batman v Superman was announced, they changed their minds. Really, Kev? Really? That's interesting. Can you explain to me why Civil War is such a similar film to Dawn of Justice? Can you? Someone must have given you the information. Or did you go? Did you have an on-set visit? Something smells here. Let's look at these. Let's look at this film, right? So you've got a very massive moment in Dawn of Justice where the Senate building, or whatever you call it, explodes, right? A shocking, rewarding moment in the film, compelling. Henry Cavill's performance as Superman, as that moment shockingly happens, is outstanding. Worth an Oscar nomination. But of course, he works for Warner Brothers. He works for the dceu. So that's not allowed because apparently our films are a load of rubbish. Wrong. Anyway, so in Civil War, we get a similar scene. So there's this kind of UN thing. Black Panther's dad dies in a massive, similar, shocking explosion to the one I've just described in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Coincidence? Think not. Because information has now reached me that basically Infinity War and Endgame are actually a rip-off from Justice Leagues 1 and 2. Now, of course, we haven't seen Justice League 1 and 2, have we? No. We've seen Frankenstein's monster called Justice League, but forget that. Justice League 1 and 2. Darkseid, time travel. Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you see where I'm going? Yes, time travel, Darkseid, Thanos, very similar characters. You see where I'm going with this? So, how is Kevin Feige, who has been lauded as blueprinting this very, very profitable franchise, now being accused of ripping off the DCEU? And also, who gave him the information? Now, we've been told by Kevin Feige, Zachary Levi, so many people from both sides. Fans have got to stop putting us against each other. We're all in the same thing. Everyone should just enjoy superhero films. Really, Kevin? I'm a fan of DC as well. Really, Kevin? Really, Kevin? You're telling us to behave and stop arguing when you and your fans have been doing things that are below the belt. Where did all these trolls and bots come from who were slaughtering Batman v Superman? Out of nowhere, this film was so hated, but still it made $850. Basically, the Blu-ray for Batman v Superman was very, very profitable, mainly because it had the extended edition on it, but it made a lot of money. All these fans around the world who love Batman v Superman, where did these bots come from? So we've got two situations here. We've got very similar films in the case of Dawn of Justice and Captain America Civil War. We are now learning that Infinity War and Endgame are very similar to Justice League 1 and 2. This is very important and vital information because all of a sudden we're seeing the deck of cards that is the MCU fall to pieces. Now I can't hand over evidence to you, but it's obvious. Even if we just talk about Civil War and Dawn of Justice, how similar those films are. In fact, Civil War is literally Batman v Superman with gags, right? It's not a very different movie. The premise is a little bit different, but the intentions are the same. Both films are pretty much very somber movies, very somber, very serious films. But Feige and the MCU were lauded with what they did because they put gags in there. And Snyder and the DCEU wasn't lauded because apparently they took themselves far too seriously. You see what happened? Because Batman v Superman and the reception to it sealed Zack Snyder's fate. Zack Snyder's fate was sealed because of the immoral actions of other people. This goes deeper than that. This was going to be a great franchise, the DCEU, but forces from Mickey Mouse couldn't allow that to happen. And look where we are now. We're going a totally different direction. One I will support because I have no choice. I love DC. I want to see DC movies. There's no other options for me here to support it. I like what they did with Aquaman. I've said that before. And Shazam. But Snyder was taking us to something very raw and unique. And the rug was pulled from underneath us. While Feige and the MCU stand there getting plaudits after plaudits, they now want Robert Downey Jr. to win the Best Actor award, right? For his performance in Endgame. What a joke. Robert Downey Jr. should definitely have won an Oscar for his performance when he was a young actor as Chaplin. But not as Tony Stark. Not in this generic franchise. But this is where we are now. This is where our industry is. Lauding that franchise. That film that's going to make about $3 billion, right? Being lauded as the greatest film of all time. It's in the same list as Titanic. What a joke. There's someone listing, right, how much time it took each film to break the record. Here's one for you. Titanic, when it was released. No 3D screens, no IMAX screens, and it made that money. What's the better movie? What's the better achievement? But I'm not here to even talk about that. I'm here to tell you that a certain company made sure that Snyder's verse wasn't successful. They did Civil War because they were intimidated about Warner Brothers doing BVS. That tells you everything. So is it such a surprise they went to such underhanded lengths to destabilise Batman v Superman and the DCEU? I'll leave that to you and your decision making. I know what I think, what I know and what I believe. So we keep on fighting for that Snyder Cut. We keep on fighting for Zack and Deb. We keep on fighting for the franchise we should have had.